30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Meet Matthew Preston. Inside his apartment, everything he holds dear is protected by Progressive's renter's insurance, like his laptop and a surprisingly valuable collection of baseball bobbleheads. Outside his apartment, his laptop is still protected, as are his bobbleheads, which he carries around with him for reasons no one knows. Renters, the limits of protection aren't just the four walls of your home. When you're in Progressive's Protection Zone, get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
I remember brushing my hair and looking down and thinking, oh my gosh, do I have any hair left?
I used to look at women with thick, beautiful hair and think, why doesn't my hair look like that?
My thinning hair is making me feel so old.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. With clinically proven ingredients like apple extract, biotin, and millet, Hair Volume nourishes your hair follicles to promote thicker, healthier-looking hair. Say goodbye to shedding, thin, and dull hair, and hello to thick, healthy hair with Hair Volume.
Since taking Hair Volume, the shedding has all but stopped.
Now, instead of being jealous of other women's hair, I have friends who are jealous of mine.
My hairdresser couldn't believe the difference in my hair. Now she's using Hair Volume too.
Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com, or find Hair Volume in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
The Justin Kinner Show, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, let's do this. Happy Friday. Welcome in to Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. We are live on 1410 Wing AM, of course. We're also live on the Justin Kinner Show YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed or jumped on that yet, please do so. Everyone has YouTube. Just subscribe to the show. The bosses are on me about growing those numbers, and well, hopefully you can help me with that. All right, so listen, everyone knows I'm not a Bengals fan. What? Shocker. And I tweeted this out a little bit ago, that if you tuned into that Duke Tobin press conference, if you're not a Bengals fan, you probably got a good laugh. I know I did. If you are a Bengals fan, probably didn't enjoy it. Probably didn't enjoy it, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you. That was something. That Duke Tobin presser, that was something. Now, again, to his credit, to Duke Tobin's credit, he faced the fire. To Duke Tobin's credit, he sat up in front of the media and answered. I think Lance McAllister put out a tweet a little bit ago that he sat there. It was either him or Moeger, one of them, put out that he sat there for about 46 minutes or he sat there for over an hour and answered over 40 questions. Good for him. I'll give him credit for that. But he sat there for 46 minutes, almost an hour plus, and he spoke a lot, but he didn't really say a whole lot of anything. And I guess the big question I should have done on yesterday's show is, what were you expecting from the presser today? What is it that you were wanting to get out of Duke Tobin? I think that's the thing. Duke Tobin was facing a lose-lose situation today, because the bottom line is there was nothing that he could really say to save face to make up for what has happened the last 3 years. I think Bengals fans, even critics, have been somewhat understanding about the fact that, you know what? We get it. Joe Burrow's been hurt, 3 years ago. The first year after making it to the second straight AFC Championship game, Joe Burrow missed a lot of time at the beginning of the season, and they had to dig themselves out of a hole the rest of the way. And then, he started that season hurt, and then he gets hurt in the against the Ravens and Lamar Jackson with the wrist, and then he's out for the rest of the season. Then year two of missing the playoffs, he plays in every single game, but the defense, it was just a poorly constructed defense. So then it was like, okay, well, that was a really horrific side of the ball. It's inexcusable, but that's one inexcusable year. The year before that, Joe Burrow's injury, it is. But this past season, it was a little bit of a combination of the last 2 years combined. You had, 3 years ago, you had the Joe Burrow injury, and you had the Joe Burrow injury this year. Last year, you had the horrific defense, and you had the horrific defense this year. So it's like this team did nothing to prepare to be able to have a balanced roster. So Duke Tobin has done a horrific job. He has done a horrific job. Now, to give you an idea about how today went, all right, and I have a longer clip that I'll play for you coming up around the corner, but I just want to give you an idea, because I think what Bengals fans were at least wanting, and I know me as a non-Bengals fan, what I at least wanted to hear out of the mouth of Duke Tobin was somewhat accountability. And I don't mean, oh, we're just as disappointed as the players, the same mumbo jumbo that a lot of, GMs and owners and coaches and players, they all say it. But I wanted to feel it. I wanted to at least sense that, okay, that he understands the urgency of the matter. And I'm not going to lie to you. After that hour, I want to hear from Bengals fans, 937-518-1410, because a lot of you heard it. You could text into the show or you can call into the show. I don't feel like there was any sense of urgency or accountability whatsoever. How can this man, who has screwed up a Super Bowl window opportunity with arguably the most talented quarterback in the National Football League, how can he, if he's going to, step up to the mic, and I respect the fact that he did, I just don't respect anything that he said, because how can you truly feel like you have done everything? Take a listen to this. There's no way that after listening to this clip that you think that this man senses any, that he's taking on any sense of responsibility or accountability, considering the role that he's in for the recent team failures. Take a listen. This is just it's a 15-second clip of exactly what is wrong with this franchise right now.
And we've made a lot of good picks. I get that people don't believe we've made any good picks. We've made a lot of good picks.
A lot.
On our current roster, on past rosters, and there will be more on future rosters. I really believe that.
What good picks, my guy? Brother, this is a simple situation that this team does not have talent. In fact, that's the thing. He's talking about all the talent that's on this roster that he picked, but then would spend the majority of the press conference talking about how untalented this roster is. And to share more with you just how unserious this guy is, I believe this is Kelsey Conway, but one of the reporters at the press conference basically said that Joe Burrow said that, hey, a lot of changes need to come about. What changes, do you think, Duke Tobin, this was a question that I was asked him at the press conference, what changes do you think need to come about to help improve this team? This answer tells me right here, this dude ain't serious.
Joe Burrow was pretty adamant about, he praised the personnel and the things of that nature, but he said something's got to change for us to get back to the playoff team. In your mind, what needs to change?
Our record, and not to be, our record.
Our record, by the way, not Kelsey Conway. My apologies. I wrote her name down on the wrong clip, but doesn't matter. Asked simply put, Joe Burrow says this team needs to make a lot of change, or this team needs, a lot of changes need to be made. Duke Tobin, the guy that's in charge of player personnel, the guy that's in charge of decision-making, the guy that's in charge of making decisions throughout the free agency process, the guy that's in charge of making decisions throughout the NFL draft, which he has failed miserably at. Hey, Mr. Tobin, your franchise quarterback, who has been very unhappy as of late, has said that a lot of changes need to be made by this organization if they want to turn this around. And what was your genius response?
Joe Burrow was pretty adamant about, he praised the personnel and the things of that nature, but he said something's got to change for us to get back to the playoff team. In your mind, what needs to change?
Our record, and not to be, our record.
Our record. Sometimes, I get everyone wanted him to talk. Everyone wanted him to speak to the media, address the media. And I get why you want that. But you know what? Sometimes saying nothing is a lot better than any of the crap that he spewed for the last hour. I'm not hating. I don't know how you as a Bengals fan can listen to anything that this guy said today and feel confident about the direction of this franchise heading into the offseason. Because one of the things, too, to keep in mind, he was asked about the small scouting department. And he would go on to talk about how proud he is of that small scouting department, how they have no plans of making any changes to that small scouting department. It's the smallest in the league. How can you, they're so tone deaf. And he had a notepad when he sat down, and he wanted to make sure that he addressed all of the concerns that he believed were going to be brought to the table. And again, I give him credit, but I just don't understand how tone deaf that himself, Katie Blackburn, the Brown family, anyone with the brain in that front office could have sat down and said, hey, we need to have a plan for how we want to go about answering some of these questions. And he comes out and said, well, sir, what kind of changes do you think need to be made? Well, our record. Oh, wow. Riveting stuff there, sir. Our record. It was a waste of time. And there is absolutely nothing positive that came out of that press conference. Absolutely nothing. What a waste of my time, your time, and like, that's the thing, too. Like, if you're Joe Burrow, if you're Jamar Chase, if you are T. Higgins, you're sitting back and you're listening to this press conference, how motivated do you think that makes Joe Burrow? How confident do you think that makes Joe Burrow that he's going to believe that this organization is going to turn the corner? Like, here's the thing, guys. You would think after 3 years of missing the playoffs, you would think after 3 years of struggling the way that they have, that I was expecting Duke Tobin to step up to the podium to maybe say, hey, we've done things a certain way for a very long time, and we understand the significance of the current window of an opportunity that we have with the talent we have on this roster. And because of that, we are going to be making some changes, and we're going to be expanding our scouting department. And, I'm going to be named the official general manager, or we're going to bring in an official general manager. We're going to change up, the way that we construct our contracts, the way that we build our contracts. We're going to, the way that we layer the money. We're going to change up. He didn't say any of that today. There was literally nothing that he brought to the table that makes me or you or anybody feel like, because we've learned from our mistakes in recent years, here's what we're going to do differently moving forward. That's why that smart-ass, embarrassing answer of Duke Tobin, Joe Burrow says that there needs to be some changes with this organization moving forward. What changes do you think that needs to be made? And he said the record. This guy can't be serious. This team has struggled the way they have because they don't have talent, and then he would gaslight everybody and tell everybody, don't forget all the talent that I drafted on this team, too. What a joke. Bengals fans, I want to hear from you. 937-518-1410. You can also text into the show with that same number. Again, 937-518-1410. We're going to get into this. There's a lot more. Okay, there's a lot more I want to get into. There's about a 3-minute clip of him talking about the scouting department that I want to get to when we come back. But I'll take your calls. I'll read your text. And we're live on the Justin Kinner Show YouTube channel as well. If you want to jump in on the chat and let your frustrations be known there, I'd love to hear from you. 937-518-1410. Ben from Xenia. What up, Ben? Ben from Xenia messages into the show. He says, I agree that the press conference was rather weak and lacked substance of what we really wanted to hear. But from you, I'd like to hear, why do the reporters not push more? They do the same thing with the Reds. Are they afraid to lose their chance to be in that room? Because the fans were there. We would ask the questions that really needed to be asked. Ben, I have been very critical of Cincinnati media in general. I tell you what, I like this question. I'm going to answer your question quickly, but I want to expand on it when we get back. Okay. I actually think the media did a good job today. I think James Rapine. All right. I think James was awesome. I read today, multiple reporters said that a lot of Cincinnati media got together and they had a plan. They had they made a list of questions of what they think were the most desired questions that needed to be answered. And they all collaborated to make sure that no stone was left unturned. And to Duke's credit, he sat down for about an hour and answered every question. So, Ben, I agree with you. I'm not a fan of Cincinnati media because I think that they more so, not all of them. There's quite a good few media guys and gals in the Cincinnati media. Don't get me wrong. But I think there are way too many media members that care more about Jamar Chase giving him a high five when they walk in the locker room or giving him a shout out on their podcast, or so that when they do their show, they could say, yeah, me and Jamar Chase were just talking about this the other day. They care more about that stuff than anything else. So I'm with you. I think Cincinnati media is weak when it comes to that. Not all of them, just a good chunk of them as far as that goes. But they were excellent today. I thought that they asked every question that fans wanted to hear. Just because we didn't get the responses that we wanted doesn't mean the media didn't do their job, because Duke Tobin, I think he handled that. He was horrible today. I think Duke Tobin and I think less of, I didn't think it was possible. I think less of Duke Tobin today than what I did yesterday. And I thought pretty low of him yesterday as far as his ability to do this job. Let's pick up with this. Ben, I'll expand on this more when we come back. We'll have a 3-minute clip from the press conference of Duke Tobin talking about their plans as far as how they want to attack the scouting department. and attacking free agency. We'll get to all of that when we come back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Justin Kinner Show, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Flexible, secure, fun. Oh, and great pay, too. Are you not sure what you want to do for a career? Or are you thinking of changing careers? Being a dental hygienist or dental assistant may be the perfect fit for you and provides all of these perks, plus more. Talk with a dentist in your community or visit ODA.org to learn more. Become a valuable member of the dental team and start helping people love their smile. This message is brought to you by the members of the Ohio Dental Association.
Hi, this is Dr. Justin with Dayton Weight Loss Secret. Have you been asking yourself, what is the secret to getting my excess weight off fast and easy like a lot of other people seem to be doing? The secret is Dayton Weight Loss Secret. Our program helps you lose weight fast and easy with no exercise, no prepackaged meals, no drugs, and no surgery. No injections and no need to be hungry. Our program helps reset your metabolism to keep the weight off for good. Schedule your free consultation at DaytonWeightLossSecret.com.
When I started this, I was at 386 pounds. Like I didn't feel bad, but I hurt. I don't hurt anymore. Pain's gone. The inflammation's gone. Swelling's gone. Everything's good. Blood works fantastic.
The Dayton Weight Loss Secret program has successfully helped thousands of people lose up to 20 to 30 pounds in a month or two. Schedule your free consultation in person or virtually by calling 937-800-1070 or online at DaytonWeightLossSecret.com. Results may vary.
The Justin Kinner Show, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, happy Friday. The Justin Kinner Show live here, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. So Duke Tobin, the de facto general manager, makeshift general manager, I don't even know really what his job is, but whatever it is, he's really bad at it. But if I'm going to insult him, I got to give him credit because he faced the fire today. I thought the press conference was going to be about 20 minutes. He had about a 4-minute opening statement, and he let the questions just continue rolling in. Over 40 questions were thrown his way today. I was not impressed with a few of the answers that he gave. I thought that he had an opportunity here to kind of calm the fires. As I stated earlier, I'm not making excuses here for the Bengals, but I'm also not that much of a hater to sit there and ignore a lot of the roadblocks that have been put in front of them. You lose your starting quarterback, I don't care who you are, you're not going to win a lot of football games. That's why I semi-defended Zach over the years, because I'm like, you have a quarterback you can't physically rely on. And that's just the truth. Joe Burrow, you can't physically rely on him. Okay? You could take that as me throwing an insult his way, whatever. But we talk about that with any quarterback that's injury prone. That's how we talk about them. I'm not going to handle, all right, your soft quarterback with kids' gloves. Like, it's just, that's not how this is going to work. Andy Reid is not a good coach without Donovan McNabb, or Patrick Mahomes. Or he's not as good of a coach because he won games with Alex Smith, but that was it was a playoff caliber roster, good offense, good defense, good run game. Like we knew that when he was with Kansas City before Patrick got there. You take Lamar off the Ravens, they're not good. You take Joe Burrow off the Bengals, they're not good, although they did finish above 500 up until this year, both years that he was out and injured. So that's just kind of where I'm at with that. So I understand that there are some things that have led to these Bengals struggles over the years, but the other problem is that defense has not just been bad, it's been the worst in the league. And it's been the reason they've been bad is because they have failed at, landing talent in the draft. The reason they got to the Super Bowl was because they drafted really well, which, to Duke Tobin's point, they were responsible for that. But again, we can't sit here and continue to say, well, you're really bad at your job now, but because you were good at it a decade ago, now we're going to give you credit. That's not how this works. And also, let's keep in mind, too, the reason that they got good was because of how bad Duke Tobin was at his job. They won 2 games because Duke Tobin sucks at his job. That's how they got Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. Then they won 4 games a season later because Duke Tobin sucks at his job, and then they were able to get T. Higgins and Logan Wilson and all the other complementary pieces that they got after that. But that's where it stopped. Because once they started winning more games and had to pick later in the draft, they don't have a deep enough scouting department to truly evaluate talent and find, hidden gems. Last year they had to be the smartest guy. They were the smartest team in the room, and they were set on their ways when it comes to the measurables because they kept talking about the measurables of Shamar Stewart. I mean, if he walks into a room and Myles Garrett walk into a room, you would think that they're twins because they're built the exact same. I mean, they were all about the measurables of Shamar Stewart. Well, you want to know the biggest difference between Myles Garrett and Shamar Stewart? One is really, really good, and the other one is Shamar Stewart. But hey, Zach, but hey, Duke Tobin, smartest man in the room. This team has a problem. They have a Duke Tobin problem, and they have a Mike Brown problem, a Katie Blackburn problem. They have an institutional problem. And I was hoping today, and not really hoping because it's not like as a Browns fan, I'm hoping that the Bengals ride the ship. Like the Browns fan part of me was excited to hear what I heard today. But the show host in me, and just the football fan in general side of me is scratching my head saying, you guys get mad at me for ripping this guy? You should be agreeing with everything that I say about this clown. That was embarrassing. And if you didn't hear the clip earlier, when you listen to this clip, do you get any sense of this man showing any kind of accountability for how bad this roster is, for how he let a Super Bowl roster decline to the joke that it is today? Listen to this.
We've made a lot of good picks. I get that people don't believe we've made any good picks. We've made a lot of good picks.
You could sit there and say you've made a lot of good picks. But if you've made a lot of good picks, then how the hell are you where you're at right now? We don't want to hear that was not the time to get defensive and trying to remind people of, hey, I've made a lot of good picks. No, you haven't. You haven't made enough good picks then. It's a problem. And I shared this clip with you already, but when he was asked about Joe Burrow, mentioned that changes need to be made from the front office. What needs to change with this team? What needs to happen for this team to turn the corner? And his response was, well, the record. I mean, take a listen. This is not good, Bengals fans.
Joe Burrow was pretty adamant about he praised the personnel and the things of that nature, but he said something's got to change for us to get back to the playoff team. In your mind, what needs to change?
Our record, and not to be, our record.
Oh, good. I was hoping that it was going to be, a scouting philosophy. I was kind of hoping it was just going to be maybe changing up how you kind of do contracts to keep talent in Cincinnati or to spend more money in free agency, to roll over money, to do what a lot of the innovative franchises around the league are doing. But you're right. Just improve the record. That's really what. Hey, Duke, question. Are you guys going to work to improve the record this year? Oh, you are. Oh, thank goodness. Woo. All right. Well, I guess we don't need to write anything the rest of the offseason. We'll see you guys in September. Clown. But here's about a 3.5-minute clip. Again, there was so much to take from this press conference today, but this is the one where he talks about the scouting department. All right. And he talks about the player, that clip you just heard is from this, but it was a sub clip. But take a listen. It's about 3.5 minutes of them kind of grilling him a little bit about kind of, does he still believe in the philosophy of having a small, scouting department? But the philosophy of attacking free agency. This is what Duke Tobin had to say.
They want to know a few things. What are you going to specifically do in the offseason to create a championship team immediately? Will you beef up your scouting department, which you are very proud of, but will you beef it up to be more in line with other NFL teams? And will you insist on an offensive play caller? Because their ticket prices are going up. They're looking at mediocrity. And they need some assurance that some of these things are going to be addressed.
What was the second part of that? Offensive play calling?
Offensive play caller they'd like. They want your scouting department beefed up. And they want to know, what other issues, what other things internally.
The specifics of the offseason, we're still going through that right now. We're still debriefing the season. We're still analyzing each and every player on on our roster, where the needs are. We have a good feeling for where that is. I wouldn't outline exactly. We're going to bring in, Paul over here, and he's going to play, 3 technique for us. We have a very good idea of where the needs are on our football team, and we're going to attack them from a personnel standpoint. Our coaches during the season did a great job in what we were asking the players to do. They made changes in how we were going about it, and it worked on that side on the defensive side of the ball, and honestly, it worked on the offensive side of the ball. So we had some nimbleness during the season. In terms of our scouting staff, in my opinion, is the size that it is, because I think the collaboration is better at that size. We have never lacked for information on a player. There's never been a player selected that we didn't know anything about. There's never been a player selected that we didn't have multiple reports and large background on. It's not about the volume of information we have. If we make a mistake, it's because at the decision point, we made the wrong decision. But it wasn't because we didn't have information on the player. We have information, and we have plenty of opinion on the player, and we've made a lot of good picks. I get that people don't believe we've made any good picks. We've made a lot of good picks on our current roster, on past rosters, and there will be more on future rosters. I really believe that. In terms of our process, every year it changes some. Every year it evolves. We have different data sources. We have different touch points with the players. We change our meeting styles. We change our medicals. We evolve and change in how we operate. Every team does. And we also will evolve and change in how we meet and when we start attacking free agency and when we start really making the plan for the off season. The NFL season isn't even over yet, but we're on track with coming up with our plan for how we will attack and who might fit the needs that we'll have. That's something that we're going through. When you end your season early, it does provide that benefit that you get on this stuff earlier.
Oh yeah, very beneficial. You're right, Duke Tobin. I mean, basically, he just said, when your season ends early like this, it does give you an advantage because you could start to game plan sooner. Well, you've missed the playoffs for 3 straight years, sir. And for 3 straight years, sir, you've had an opportunity. You've had a leg up on the good teams in the NFL to make a, bulletproof plan for the offseason, to prevent, 3 straight years of not making the postseason. 3 straight years of not having one of the most embarrassing defenses in the history of the NFL. I knew this press conference was going to be a disaster. I knew nothing good was going to come of it. And the amount of optimism I saw from Bengals fans on social media saying, this is a good sign that he's never addressed the media like this. So this is a good sign that maybe this is what Joe Burrow was talking about. Joe Burrow wanted change, and this is a part of that. Is it? I would feel worse about the direction of the Bengals now than how I would have felt yesterday. Man, more nonsense here from Duke Tobin.
Our personnel staff will spend the entire offseason on what went right, what went wrong, what can we change, and who we have. So we're working on the who. They'll work on the what. The players need to work on the how. That's the technique and the assignments. And that's why it's the who, the what, and the how. All of that needs to improve.
And just in case you were wondering about their strategy for the offseason.
That's why it's the who, the what, and the how.
The who, the what, and the how. What the hell? Who does this guy think he is? I just don't get it. All right, Chad Kinser on YouTube. Again, we're live on the Justin Kinser Show YouTube channel. Chad Kinser says he sat there for over an hour and said nothing. He only needed to say 5 words. As of today, I'm resigning. That was a train wreck. That was bad. Am I wrong? And you know, again, it's the Justin Kinner show. I'm paid to give my opinions, but I do feel like I opened up the door a lot to get your guys' opinions. So question Bengals fans, is there anyone out there that thought that this went well? Are there any Bengals fans out there that are sitting there right now saying, you know what, I actually do feel better about what he said today? I don't know how that could be the case, but man, oh man. Based on that, I don't understand how you could feel confident about the direction that they're going in moving forward, or at least expect anything to be different because that's just, you know, the reality of it. But do want to give a shout out. I think James Rapine did a great job today. I thought he threw out a lot of pressing questions. Kelsey Conway was the reporter that was basically coming at it from the fans' perspective. Like she did a good job of, locking down a lot of fan questions and throwing those out there. Cause that's really what this was about, was there's a lot of questions that fans just want answers to. And I also thought that he kind of sidestepped a lot of questions regarding who makes what decisions. He says he's responsible for free agency and the draft, but it's a collaborative effort. And again, he was being very vague. He would say that, like, could someone had asked him about Mike Brown stepping in to overrule him, and he said, well, it's his team that he very well can do that, but Mr. Brown has never done that. I don't know. I don't get it. But 937-518-1410, that's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Yeah. What would you have liked to have heard him say? Is there a response from Duke Tobin that you would have loved to hear from him instead of what you heard here today? 937-518-1410. Phone lines are open. You could text the show, call the show, or let your opinion be known in the Justin Kinner Show YouTube channel chat. So plenty of ways to get involved. We'll get to your responses more coming up on the other side. The NCAA First Four returns to the epicenter of college hoops. The fun begins Selection Sunday, March 15th, with 2 family-friendly events. You could join the big hoopla for the 4-miler race, then bring the family to the free STEM challenge, which coincidentally enough are both conveniently located at Wright State University. It all leads to the NCAA First Four at UD Arena, March 17th and 18th. The First Four, Dayton, and the big hoopla. Details can be found at DaytonHoopla.com. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio, 937-518-1410. Text or call. Duke Tobin, what'd you think? Do you feel better about the direction of the Bengals? Do you feel worse? What would you have liked to have heard him say to make you feel more confident moving forward? We'll get to all of that when we return.
The Justin Kinner Show, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Upgrade your tool storage for the new year with help from Menards. For heavy-duty storage that protects your tools, choose Masterforce. From shelving units to cabinets and so much more, you can keep your tools safe and within reach. Get versatile and durable storage from Masterforce today. Check out all our Masterforce storage in-store or check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards. Meet Lee Platts, a renter whose possessions fill not only her apartment, but also the darkest corners of a mini storage unit. A land of both truth and fiction. Truth, everything inside is protected by Progressive. Fiction, one day Lee will fit into her clothes from senior year of high school. Renters, discover coverage for what you love and what you can't get rid of in Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
They didn't have skim milk for your coffee, so I just got formaldehyde.
Oh, isn't that stuff in floor cleaner? Pizza's here. Would you like cheese on that? Or how about a Crowley?
Oh, no, that's a bug spray.
Hi there. Would you like to sample our new scent, diethylene glycol?
Isn't that the stuff in antifreeze?
You wouldn't want to eat it, drink it, or even smell it, but that's exactly what's in your vapes. If you vape, quit. If you don't vape, don't start. For help, go to odh.ohio.gov/no vapes. A message from the Ohio Department of Health.
Without an Advent clinic nearby, people suffering needlessly from chronic nasal congestion and sinus infections would be stuck with either Band-Aid or sledgehammer solutions. Band-Aids are pills or nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1-day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. Kandula. Outside of Advent's 4 walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here, you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
It's a new year, and Aleve is here to help you keep your New Year's resolutions on track. Whether it's a daily walk, hitting the gym, or spending more time with friends and family, Aleve's got your back. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, Aleve keeps you moving with long-lasting body pain relief, so you can chase those dreams and achieve your goals. Don't let body pain slow you down. Keep going with Aleve, because this year is your year. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
The Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Now, back to the Justin Kinner Show. Right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
Happy Friday, everybody. We welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Yeah, we'll get back into the Duke Tobin Presser later on in the show. But we've all been anticipating that all week. We've been waiting for that presser. I have been, but I was waiting for it in more of a trolley way. I knew it was going to end up like what it did. David Shaw, again, we're live on the Justin Kinner Show YouTube channel as well. Shaw messages in, good afternoon, Justin. Another day and another day of the Bengals front office, thinking that they are the smartest people in the room. Yeah, I don't know. Man, that just wasn't good. And again, I'm willing to at least say, like, good for Duke Tobin for facing the fire, but man, like, they act like good PR is just addressing the media. They forgot about what you say to the media. That puts them in a bad spot. So that wasn't good. That was not good, but nonetheless. All right, I want to talk college football. As we sit here right now, and I want to talk Ohio State coming up here in just a little bit, but I watched that game last night, Miami getting back to the national championship. What a good game. By the way, college football is on fire right now. The meaningless bowl games that I deem meaningless, that I thought was meaningless, ratings through the roof. The college football playoff ratings, unbelievable. The highest rated college football playoff game ever was Alabama and Notre Dame. Or I'm sorry, no Notre Dame. I'm sorry, Notre Dame wasn't good enough to make the playoffs. Indiana and Alabama. The interest level in the college football playoffs right now, the parity across college football is unbelievable. Miami getting back is a good thing. I do think that I would have loved to see a Big Ten SEC championship game, but I love the fact that an ACC team is in the national championship. I love the fact that as much as I can't stand the pompous, arrogant, full of fill in the blank with the non-FCC approved word program that is Notre Dame, I love that they got to the national title game last year. I love that, we've seen a team that's not in a conference make a national championship appearance. I love that we've seen, obviously a team that's not in what's considered the Big Two, whether the Big Ten or the SEC, and obviously Miami now in the national championship. I think it's great for college football. The parity across the board. I thought that the college football playoff expansion with NIL and the portal, I thought it was going to be a disaster because we saw a lot of Georgia in the 14 playoff, a lot of Alabama in the 14 playoff, a lot of Ohio State in the 14 playoff, with Clemson sprinkled in earlier, in the midst of it. But I thought it was just going to be, all right, we're just going to expand the map to all get back to the same place that we already were. Have you guys ever been like driving around town and some jerk off is like riding your ass the whole time, and then they whip over and speed past you like they're in some huge hurry? And then a little bit down the road, you come up to that stoplight and then you look over and the jerk off that sped past you earlier, there you guys are, same spot. You went through all that just to get, you went at your speed, I went at mine, and look at that. We're right back where, at the same spot. That's what I thought was going to happen with the expansion of the college football playoff. We're going to add all these teams that have no business being in the playoff just so we could still get to Alabama, Georgia in the national championship game, or Ohio State and Alabama. And it has been anything but. And I think it's awesome. I love it. College football is a disaster. It's a perfect storm. That's the best way to explain college football at the moment. It's a perfect storm because it reminds me a lot of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is broken, but it's the healthiest it's ever been right now. I think college football is as broken as it's ever been, but I think it's as healthy as it's ever been right now. The portal is a disaster. NIL is just as scandalous as Minnesota right now. I mean, it's ridiculous. But somehow, some way, the sport is vibrant. It is healthy. There is parity. The ratings are through the roof. Revenue's through the roof. It's strange. I'm sitting back and I'm like, okay, how is football broken if ratings are through the roof? There's parity across the board. Interest level galore, because the big concern was that college football was a little bit more regional than we wanted to accept. And if you think about it, it really was. Like, college football was a lot more regional than you would think. And it doesn't feel like that. I watched Ole Miss in Miami last night every second. Every second. I was glued to it. I couldn't turn it off. I'm not a Miami fan. I'm not an Ole Miss fan, but I was glued to it. I loved it. So, it's one of those things where it reminds me of baseball, because baseball is broken. You have the Dodgers, who have deferred money, over $1 billion they have deferred to put together a super roster. There's only, honestly, when there's we've talked about this with Elly De La Cruz, superstar players. The bottom line is there's only a handful of teams that those superstar players could ultimately end up going to. It's broken. But ratings for the World Series the last couple of years been through the roof. You had the Dodgers and the Yankees in the World Series a couple of years ago. The playoffs, it was the highest rated Major League Baseball playoffs in over 10 years. The regular season, it was the highest rated regular season. Ratings records were set every single week. Attendance records were starting to be set. Most attended games in over 10 plus years. So more people are going to the games. More people are watching the games. Revenue coming in left and right. But the sport's broken. College football, it's as scandalous as it's ever been. It's broken. The transfer portal's a disaster. NIL is it's not what it was intended for, but it's as healthy as the sport's ever been. The SEC has been the face of college football for 2+ decades, for so long now. This is 3 straight years where a national champion is going to be crowned outside of the SEC. This might be the 3rd straight year that a Big Ten champion is crowned. And I don't mean a Big Ten champion, but it might be the Big Ten champion that hoists up the national championship trophy in Indiana. Could this be the 3rd straight year that a Big Ten team hoists up the national championship? There's a good chance. Miami's all that's left, and it's a Big Ten matchup tonight in the semifinal, Indiana and Oregon. Indiana, a slight favorite. I can't wait for this one tonight. But 937-518-1410. I got to step away real quick to read. This camera's about to die on me, so I got to make sure that we stay on here for the YouTube side. But do you agree? 937-518-1410. College football and Major League Baseball, they remind me an awful lot of one another right now. They remind me an awful lot of one another right now, because I think that they're both broken, but they're as healthy as they've ever been. And how could that possibly be? By the way, baseball, ratings through the roof, revenue coming in like crazy. Okay, so the sport's as healthy as there's stars galore around the sport. But we're maybe going to experience a lockout here in the next year. This might be like we're heading into the 2026 season. There's probably going to be a lockout in 2027. Ratings are through the roof. Attendance is through the roof. Records are being set left and right, and we might experience a shutout because of how broken baseball is. And that reminds me of college football. 937-518-1410. Agree, disagree? Your thoughts. We'll be right back.
The Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ABS, does that mean always bring snacks? TPMS, does that mean tiny potholes make squeaks? AWD, does that mean all wheels are dancing? No, that's not right. But here's the truth. Carol Works Tire knows the real meanings and will keep your car safe without all the jargon. Carol Works Tire. Tires, service, and tire values you can count on. Find us online at c-wtire.com or talk to a real human at 937-461-5441.
This is Carla Hall for Eggland's Best. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, make sure you're choosing wholesome ingredients like Eggland's Best eggs to plus up your nutrition. With more than 6 times the vitamin D and double the omega-3s and vitamin B12 compared to ordinary eggs, Eggland's Best supports a healthy lifestyle. Available in so many delicious varieties: classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs. Visit egglandsbest.com to learn more.
If you're watching football this weekend, you know how it goes. Somebody's always hungry by the first quarter. So call Pizza Hut and get the big New Yorker for just $10. Our biggest pizza for the biggest games. These slices are huge, like use 2 hands and fold it huge. Feed your crew and order ahead at pizzahut.com or in the app.
Pizza Hut!
Ask for limited time offer. Prices, participation, and availability may vary. Additional charge for extra toppings, max 3 and extra cheese. Taxes, tip, and delivery fee not included.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast, mostly cloudy and 40 tonight. Rain and 51 tomorrow, and on Sunday, it's mostly cloudy and 33. I'm Rick Schmidt for 1410 ESPN Radio.
When you think of the most exciting team in Dayton, it's okay if you don't think of the doctors and therapists at Premier Health. We don't have jerseys or trading cards. We don't get primetime coverage. We don't sell out arenas, have good drip, or autograph sessions. We're just happy to be your team's favorite team.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Pain has a way of stealing the moments that matter most, especially during the holidays. It's not just your knees, back, or shoulder. It's time with family and friends. But in 2026, that could all change when your body remembers how to heal. It just needs a little help finding the way back. QC Kinetic here in Dayton believes relief doesn't have to come from surgery or pain pills. They use your body's own natural healing abilities to repair and restore what's been lost, helping you move, live, and feel like yourself again. It's your body's comeback story, powered by the very cells that built you in the first place. No surgery, no pain pills, no long recovery, just your body remembering how to feel alive again. QC Kinetics delivers long-term relief finally. Make the new year your turning point, where pain stops defining you. It's time to take that first step, literally, to walk, hike, dance, enjoy the holidays, live without wincing. With QC Kinetics, healing is within reach. Schedule your free consultation today. For treatments, call QC Kinetics 937-936-0325.
KTH Parts Industries in St. Paris is now hiring and has increased the hourly wage of $22.48. That's right. KTH is looking for elite production associates, including press operators, overhead crane operators, and forklift operators. Apply today. KTH offers excellent benefits, including medical, dental, and 401k. KTH is a short drive from Bellefonte, Troy, Piqua, and Urbana. Upgrade your career and be valued by a company that really cares about you. Apply now at kth.net, an equal opportunity employer.
Sound familiar? At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems that can keep you up at night, like snoring, aches and pains, or sleeping hot. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now at Mattress Firm, you can upgrade to a queen mattress and adjustable base for just $499.99. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Hi, I'm Maria, salon owner. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
With Progressive Insurance, you could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat insurance. Visit Progressive.com for more information. That's Progressive.com.
Have you heard? Bath Creations has moved to their new location and showroom at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton. This gives you even more opportunity to see the incredible amenities and craftsmanship Bath Creation offers. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful, modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save an additional $500 off your purchase. Visit at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton or online at mybathcreations.com and get a new bath today.
My husband's an animal in bed.
Well, you know.
Not in the fun way. Think warthog. With a chainsaw.
Snoring and sleep apnea affect over 90 million people, and 1 out of 4 couples sleep in separate rooms. Advent can help. We've been your one-stop solution for nasal congestion, snoring, and sleep apnea for over 20 years. Unlike many other practices, we focus exclusively on these conditions, so you get comprehensive care under one roof. Advent's unique approach can help you breathe and sleep better, and many avoid a CPAP. Plus, most insurance is accepted for our effective 20-minute in-office treatments.
Hey, the only animal you want in your bed is your dog.
Advent. Sleep better. Sleep together. Learn how you can improve your life at adventknows.com.
The Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, and we are back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, 937-518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. All right, so right now I'm trying to figure out. There we go. Act like I've done this before, but I'll get it situated either way. But again, Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio, the Justin Kinner Show YouTube channel, 937-518-1410. You can call, you can text, multiple ways to be involved in the show. The Justin Kinner Show YouTube channel, you can also message in through the chat. Some texts have been coming in about the press conference, the Duke Tobin Presser from earlier this afternoon. So this comes in from Deb. Deb, I hope you're doing well. She's listening and she's messaging into the show. She texts that I am by no means an NFL GM, but how do you wait until the season is over before you suddenly have the epiphany to evaluate your team and your players? Wouldn't you be doing it all year long? Seriously, don't get it. It's embarrassing, sad, and totally over this ownership, this GM, and this head coach. Well, the unfortunate thing is nothing's going to change. That was, basically to summarize the hour of Duke Tobin's press conference today, nothing is going to change. He just wanted to reassure you that, remember that one time that they did pick a couple good players? Yeah, we've done it before, so we're confident we could do it again. That's kind of the gist of the BS conversation that he had with everybody. But by no means do I feel like anyone should be, feeling all warm and fuzzy inside. regarding this, situation at hand right now. So either way, we'll get back into more of that coming up in a bit. I was talking college football a little, before the last break, mainly because of the fact that, tonight, Indiana, Oregon, I'm excited about this matchup. I think Indiana is the new darling of college football. And for the longest time, I just thought they were a good story, and the story is where it stops. But by no means did I ever buy into them being like a legit program. I never thought I'd be talking about Indiana and Ohio State being on equal playing ground. And to be honest, with the recent happenings that's going on in Columbus right now, by the way, I could still be right. Ohio State and Indiana may not be on equal playing ground. Indiana might separate itself from Ohio State. I don't know if you guys have been following. Ohio State's losing a lot of guys to the NFL. That's a given. Okay, that's not the problem. The problem is they're losing a lot of next man up guys. CJ Hicks, right? That's a problem. All right, that's a local kid too, but a guy that was next up. There was a lot of guys that were next up in the process, but they don't care. They don't care about that. Like, I have a problem with CJ Hicks. I have a problem with a lot of these guys that were next man up to be developed at Ohio State, but everyone is chasing the money. And they can say, oh, Kinner, it's easy for you to say, don't talk about other people's money. I am going to look, their money is flaunted in our faces at all times. I am going to talk about their money. I'm not going to handle it with kid gloves because they're not kids. All right. I called some of their games in high school. Wouldn't talk about them when they're in high school like that, but they're adults who are flaunting their money for all of us to see and hear. So for that reason right there, I think it's a stupid decision, but it is what it is. And this is where Ohio State's they find themselves in this dilemma of, do we pay guys a lot of money coming out of a ton of money coming out of high school to keep them fat and happy until they're up? Or do we pay them as high schoolers a reasonable rate and then make them earn their big payday here? But the problem is you pay them that little bit of money, whatever their definition of little is, coming out of high school. Okay. You pay them that little bit of money coming out of high school at a high school rate. And then you tell them once you get here, you go and earn that money here with us. Or you could not earn it, and some other school is going to pay you a lot more money to pluck you away because they want to win the press conference and say, we stole this guy from Ohio State, which is what's happening here for a lot of these guys. There's talks of Bo Jackson being in a bidding war right now, and I haven't seen the follow-up on this. I don't know where they're at as of now, but apparently Bo Jackson wanted more money than what Quinshon Judkins and Trevion Henderson were getting paid combined on last year's national championship team. Quinshon Judkins and Trevion and Henderson are two of the main reasons Ohio State won a national championship last year, and they combined their NIL money from Ohio State would be less than what Bo Jackson is asking for. And let me be clear, Bo Jackson's really, really good, but at no point did I feel like, by the way, one of Ohio State's biggest weaknesses was their inability to run the ball. So as good as he was, it's not as if he was making as big of an impact as what his ego and the stupid people in his circle are telling him. So you could say, oh, I'm getting sensitive to that. Yeah, I am. Because, again, I think the sport is broken. But I don't think it's a hot take. I think we all agree. But it's hard for me to say that a sport is broken when there are monster ratings coming out of these playoff games. I can't say college football is broken because it's not broken. I can't say college football is broken because it's not broken. That's just kind of the reality of it. Real quick, I want to pick up on this. We're not going anywhere. We're just pausing 10 seconds for station identification.
Dayton's radio home for Buckeyes football. 1410 WING. Dayton's ESPN radio.
So the bottom line is, as we sit here right now, college football, everyone talks about how broken it is. And I understand why people say it's broken because I understand where they're coming from because we're watching it with Ohio State right now. Really, really good players who are about to be next man up as far as the starter is concerned. You had the kid from Springfield that's doing the same thing. The kid from Alter, CJ Hicks, doing the same thing. And it's all BS, in my opinion. It really is. Why did you go to Ohio State? You could have your cake and eat it too. You're going to go be a national championship contender. You're going to be developed. And by the way, maybe CJ Hicks just isn't good enough. Maybe these guys just aren't good enough too. Maybe that's what it is, and they just know it, so they're going to go chase the money elsewhere. Who knows? But at the end of the day, the bottom line is that you're at Ohio State. You're going to be developed for the NFL if you're good enough, and maybe they're not. And you're about to get a ton of playing time. It used to be all about the playing time. Now you're going to get the playing time. You're going to get paid, but you can get paid more over here. But are you going to a better situation? My guess is probably not. But because of their departures, it actually might make it a better place somewhere else. Ohio State, with the schedule that they have next year, this is why I said I think they squandered a national championship opportunity this year. I don't think Ohio State's getting to the playoff next year. Ohio State is getting poached left and right. They're losing a ton of guys to the NFL, and the guys that were right behind them that were supposed to just kind of step in and replace them, they're out the door. And on top of that, Ohio State, this is where they can also get in trouble. Michigan has billionaire donors, or a donor, or they have a nice chunk of change. Michigan surpassing Ohio State when it comes to NIL. Indiana has surpassed everybody when it comes to NIL. Mark Cuban, minority Dallas Mavericks owner out of the NBA, used to be the majority owner of the Mavericks, very well known. You would think he's a basketball guy, but he's all about the football program. Apparently, he just donated $7 to $8 million just for this portal class alone, which is why while Indiana is preparing for the semifinal matchup here tonight against Oregon, they went in and got their quarterback and their replacement for Mendoza. They went and got a guy that is a 4-star wide receiver, obviously not coming out of high school, but came into college as a 4-star wide receiver, got legitimate, defensive pass rushers, got legitimate secondary. Indiana's not going anywhere. And Ohio State next year has to play at Texas. They have to play at Indiana. They have to play at USC, and they play Oregon. It's a tough schedule. And they play Michigan. They play Michigan, USC, Oregon, Indiana, Texas. They're going to be a 3-loss team next year at the very least. And Wisconsin, let's not ignore that. We're going to find out if Luke Fickell's a good coach or not, because this is what I appreciated about what Wisconsin did. Wisconsin, who I really respect right now, because they came out and said, we are not going to fire Luke Fickell. In fact, we're going to bring him back, because they took credit, and this is what I really appreciate about Wisconsin. Wisconsin had come out and said, we did not do a good enough job on our end investing into the program. So we're going to invest heavily into the program and give Luke Fickell an opportunity to go out there on a more even playing field. So Wisconsin could be a problem, next season as far as that's concerned. So, that's what I'm keeping an eye on. And my apologies, actually. Oh, no, that's Indiana's schedule. Let me pull up Ohio State. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Ohio State doesn't play Wisconsin. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is, okay, they at least avoid Wisconsin. So that's one less team to worry about. My apologies. I had the wrong schedule up. So it doesn't matter. There are teams, though, who are positioning themselves better in the Big Ten. And Oregon is not going anywhere. Indiana is not going anywhere. Michigan has a very good coach now. I really like that coach. And, I'm not going to say Bryce Underwood was loyal, because he wasn't. He wasn't loyal. He just wasn't an idiot. He got paid a ton of money coming out of high school to go to Michigan. And because he wasn't very good his freshman season, he would have been paid by another school to go play elsewhere, but he would not have been paid as much as what he is going to get paid to remain at Michigan. That's why he stayed at Michigan. That may sound like a backhanded compliment. It's not. The reality is I've been very high on him, Bryce Underwood. I thought he got zero development last season, as come to find out, there's a little bit of distraction amongst the coaching staff. But with the mature, successful adult leading the program for Michigan, Michigan's going to be very good next year. Maybe they did lose Haynes today. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Their running back entered the portal. Ohio State might lose Bo Jackson, by the way. And I said, maybe there's just going to be a portal swap right there. Who knows? Bo Jackson's good. I don't want to talk, from earlier, my point. I don't want to make it sound like, hey, I don't think he's that good. I don't think it's that big of a deal if they lose him. It's a big deal if they lose him. But I don't think Ohio State, you're Ohio State. You don't need to get in the habit of letting these players push you around. But what you also can't have happen is letting your pride get in the way and allow Indiana to really create a gap between you two, because they just beat you in the Big Ten championship game. All right, Michigan, you don't want them to get right. You finally ended that 4-game losing streak. You don't want them to get right while you're trying to catch back up in the NIL space, because there's been a lot of concerns about Ohio State in that NIL space, which is crazy. I find all this fascinating. I kind of love when there's a little resistance for Ohio State because I'm not going to lie, I felt for years, and this is such a weird thing to say, I got bored watching them beat up on absolutely everybody. I like a little resistance. I just don't want resistance to the point to where this isn't a playoff team or not one of the premier programs in the conference. Because I'm telling you now, Indiana wins tonight. This isn't Ohio State's conference anymore. And that's crazy to say because Ohio State just won a national championship last year. Indiana, let me rephrase this. Indiana's going to win tonight. If they win tonight, if Indiana wins 2 more games, they're the face of this conference. Not Michigan, who won it 2 years ago. Not Ohio State, who won it a year ago. And it's not recency bias because, Indiana's about to win it this year. They are the number one story in college football. They just had the highest rated playoff game ever between them and Alabama. And I'm here to tell you, Alabama, they're not that interesting. People weren't tuning in for Alabama. They're tuning in for Indiana. Indiana and Ohio State had the highest rated Big Ten championship game in the last 10 years. They weren't tuning in just for Ohio State. They were tuning in to cheer on the little guy, to cheer on David. But the thing is, everyone thought they were tuning in to cheer on David versus Goliath, but David is not who they thought they were. David might end up being Goliath when it's all said and done. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. You could text in or call into the show, 937-518-1410. I know I was kind of all over the place a little bit there, but the Ohio State thing, I've been wanting to get into this for a minute, but there's been just a lot of talk about the Browns, Bengals, everything else. Duke Tobin making it a joke of himself earlier today. But yeah, let's go to the phones. 937-518-1410. Shaw, what's up, man? How are you?
Not bad. How about yourself?
Oh, another day in paradise. What you got?
I don't disagree with you, but I don't agree with you either about college football. I believe college football right now is standing on a sheet of ice. It's thick enough right now that everybody's standing on top of it. You got good ratings. Everybody's still going to the games for the most part. And it all looks wonderful and glamorous on top of the surface. Underneath the surface, this thing is crumbling underneath itself, and there's no way it's going to be able to withhold. And you're going to be standing there, and you're going to be ending up in some very cold water here, and I believe it's going to be very soon.
But people have been saying about that. They've been saying that for years, though. We've been saying that for years, and it just gets more popular, and the ratings keep getting better and better. Parity's good for the sport. That's what's happened. Like, what's good about the sport is also what's bad about it. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but that's what makes this fascinating, Shaw. This is what I love about baseball right now, too, because I agree with those who talk about how broken baseball is. Man, the Reds have no shot. The Dodgers, spend 10 times the amount of money than the Reds because they can and the Reds can't. How can this be equal playing field? Baseball is broken. There's no doubt about it. We can't even enjoy Elly De La Cruz because we are so anxious about the short window of time that he's here because we know the Reds can't afford him. The sport's broken. But you can't say the sport's broken when you're having record ratings in the World Series and the playoffs, regular season games, attendance through the roof. It just reminds me an awful lot of football. We keep saying both sports are broken, but yet they're the most successful they've been in decades.
It's because it appears that way right now.
I'm not trying to argue, but I am. It doesn't appear that way. The numbers speak for the revenue, ratings. It all speaks for itself. It is.
Yeah, that's proving it. The reason what I'm saying is, especially in college football, we have a bunch of donors sitting at school spending $50 million, $20 million checks.
Mm-hmm.
That money runs out. That's not going to continue happening.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep going back to these donors, and and I'm talking about all across this country. And not everybody's a Texas Tech. Yeah, you're some of these 2, 3, 5, 10, maybe 10 schools will be able to still be relevant. But all of these schools ain't going to be able to keep forking out all this money left and right.
But then another school will. Like, if you would have told me 5 years ago that Indiana would be the face of college football, I would have laughed at you. But yet here's Indiana.
Indiana wasn't activated.
That's what I'm saying. There's a school now that's not activated, and they will be. I think there's billionaires out there, or there's spenders out there that are like, I'm not going to spend in this space. But because I'm with you, Mark Cuban's not going to spend $8 million every single year. And then when Mark Cuban takes his foot off the gas, guess what? There's going to be someone at another school that says, now's my time to pounce. Now we're moving in. I just think there's going to be constant players in this. And I think it's maybe not $8 million every year for Mark Cuban, but every couple of years, and then this guy comes in. I think it's just going to be a revolving door, and overall, it's going to lead to healthy results, all while, to your point, and I agree with you on this, it's not healthy underneath, but everything on top is fine.
But when all of that, the whole landscape is going to be changed, because this isn't sustainable. It's just not. It looks like it is. It looks like glamorous. It's like the Titanic. You just hit the iceberg. You don't know that you're sinking. You don't know that you're going to be freezing in that cold water in 3 hours because you're above it. All the water is coming into the ship underneath. You don't know the danger that's happening underneath.
Listen, you could shove it with the analogies, man. That's my thing. All right, I don't need you coming on here with Titanic analogies and stuff and talking about ships sinking. That's a good analogy.
I'm sorry, I try every now and then, but I don't see how this is sustainable at all. And then we don't even want to talk about all the other sports that are getting absolutely crushed by this. The entire model for college sports is going to be changing, and it's going to affect football. It will affect basketball. Mm-hmm. Something's going to have to break. Something's going to have to change, because you can't just keep going back to the donors left and right over and over and over and over again, while the ADs and the schools keep saying, well, we're making money hand over fist. Eventually, this whole thing is going to be breaking, and we're going to be standing there going, well, I thought we had the healthiest sport that it's ever been. TV ratings were the best that they've ever been. What happened?
Well, when that time comes, we'll have that conversation, but we can't say right now that it's not healthy, because right now this is the most entertaining college football has been in a long, long time.
I mean, if we want to sit there with the myopic view, then yeah, I mean, I guess we can. But I understand. Yes, I've had this conversation with you before, off air and on air. We can have the two conversations. The longevity of the sport, I feel, is completely failing, and it's a disaster. We're waiting for it to happen. Now, the other conversation was last night entertaining? Yes. Has the 12-team playoff been entertaining? Yes, especially for the last 2 years that it's been in existence. It's been way better, like you said. It's been way better than I thought it was going to be. It's been more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. The parity being spread out, the money being spread out, that's all fine and that's all glorious. But the bottom of the line is this is going to crash. And we can sit there with the myopic view if we want and sit there and act like the disaster isn't happening, but it's still happening. And that to me, like when you sit there and you have conversations about what was going on in Washington just a few days ago, that was going to be probably part of the iceberg breaking off right there. But I believe the Big Ten went to him and his agent, and that's why that wound up breaking apart. And they said, you're going back to Washington. You just don't know it yet. It's either going to be ugly and it's going to be out in the face, and it's going to be out in the open, and then Washington's going to sue you and you're going to go back to school that way, or we can do this quietly and you can just go back to Washington. But that's what I firmly believe, is that either the NCAA, the Big Ten, somebody got in his ear and said, you're going back to Washington.
Which means that there was at least some roadblock up, which means it's not as broken as we think. These schools are going to start now enforcing some of these things, which is a start. Is it going to be clean? No. But to me, had the story resulted in him leaving and going to LSU, then yes, I agree, broken as can be. But to me, these contracts, they just need to be enforced. We saw one enforced, or at least bullied into it. I mean, it's, he tried it. It didn't work. And
this is 2 years in a row. This is 2 years in a row, and we're one player away from saying, no, you have no power. I'm not listening to you, and we'll just go to court then, and we'll see how it happens. We're one player away.
They're not going to. I mean, but the school, if the money, half the money, if most of the money is coming from the school, that is legally binding. Like that's not going to. These schools have to sack up and
What's legally binding?
It's a contract. It's the same thing. Joe Burrow can't just go be a Ram.
Nobody can FOIA. No one's been able to FOIA any of these contracts.
Urban Meyer was talking about it on the herd earlier today, talking about the enforcement of these contracts. These players are signing contracts with these schools, and that's what ultimately led to him having to go back.
We keep talking about. That's what I'm saying, though. We keep talking about these hypothetical contracts.
You keep everything out of your mouth today has been hypothetical. He signed a
I don't think
contract.
it's
How is that
I don't
hypothetical?
believe-
How is that hypothetical? He signed it.
Because they said he signed have you seen the contract?
Well, if he didn't sign anything, his ass is at LSU right now.
No, I don't think so. I think the NCAA or the Big Ten knows the damage that they're in, and that's why they forced him to go back.
No one can force these players to do anything. If that's I mean, I would like the NCAA to tell CJ Hicks to get his ass back to Columbus then. The NCAA ain't doing anything.
Then explain the rift between him and the agent then.
Who and the agent?
Damon Williams and his agent. Explain the rift between them two. It was just as easy as him just saying, "Okay, I got to go take care of my contract."
I'm not.
No,
no one knows about what went on with the rift between him and the agent, but it doesn't change the fact that he was enforced to stay because he signed a contract.
Because the agent said that you need to go to LSU and we'll fight this in court, and the player said, "No, I'm going to lose, and I don't want to go into a lawsuit."
Is that what happened, or is this another hypothetical?
You can guess as much as I can guess.
So it's a hypothetical. You're Mr. Hypothetical. I think that's your new nickname. I'm going to say, hey, Shaw, Mr. Hypothetical, welcome.
It's called reading between the lines, man.
So it's still hypothetical.
Fine.
If you're watching, read between the lines right here. I'm just saying,
Yeah, read between my lines too. I mean, it can go both ways. I don't want to, you sit here and you talk about it before I got on the air, the dangers that are there, but now that I'm on the air, you want to act like what I'm saying is completely false.
No, what I'm saying is that we know. I said it. How have I acted like that it's not? I've admitted that yes, there's a lot of things that are wrong with the sport, but it's not wrong to the point where it's sinking at the pace that everyone, including yourself, is trying to say that it is. Because if fans if there was more Shaws that
didn't sink in 20 minutes.
This isn't the Titanic. Can we stop with the Titanic thing? This isn't the
I'm
Titanic.
not going to stop because.
All right, well, you keep ramming into that iceberg, bro. I'm just saying, you keep ramming into that iceberg. See ya. All right, fine, that's fine, man. Mr. Hypothetical, Crybaby Shaw. I mean, that's all we keep hearing. That's all we keep hearing is, you know what? It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. We've been hearing it's not sustainable for years and years and years and years and years now. College football is as popular as it's ever been. The ratings are through the roof. The people couldn't get enough of the stupid Pop-Tart Bowl. Iceberg ahead. We'll be right back.
The Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-606-8737. 800-606-8737. 800-606-8737.
Meet Morgan Jones. Morgan is about to step into a world unknown to most, thanks to Progressive's Renters Insurance, a place of fresh linens and turn-down service. You see, Morgan temporarily vacated her apartment and has gone to a hotel because a pipe burst in her apartment. A pipe that made her sense of reality and apartment ceiling all come crashing down. Luckily, Morgan checked into Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here's a tale of Linda trying to lose weight, but the med prices she found were all over the place.
Hidden fees and markups made her jaw drop low. Then she found Good RX. Now she's in the know.
GLP-1 subscriptions FDA approved.
With clear upfront pricing.
And same-day pickup.
That's Good RX, the no-nonsense way. Save time and money on prescriptions.
Get to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
Progressive Insurance can protect your home and auto. And you can save money when you bundle your home and auto. Get a quote at progressive.com. That's progressive.com.
They didn't have skim milk for your coffee, so I just got formaldehyde.
Oh, isn't that stuff in floor cleaner? Pizza's here. Would you like cheese on that? Or how about a Crowley?
Oh, no, that's in bug spray.
Hi there. Would you like to sample our new scent? Diethylene glycol.
Isn't that the stuff in antifreeze?
You wouldn't want to eat it, drink it, or even smell it, but that's exactly what's in your vapes. If you vape, quit. If you don't vape, don't start. For help, go to odh.ohio.gov/no vapes. A message from the Ohio Department of Health.
If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. See Lance Roofing and Siding at their new location at 6903 Dayton Springfield Road in Enid. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722. Online at lanceroofing.com.
Sound familiar? At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems that can keep you up at night, like snoring, aches and pains, or sleeping hot. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now upgrade to a Tempur-Pedic and get a $300 instant gift, plus next-day delivery. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. Next day delivery available on select mattresses and subject to location. See store for details.
Need an online notary? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. We can notarize your documents remotely at no charge to you. All you need is a smartphone or laptop. Visit courthouse2u.com for more info.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
The Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, and we are back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Tax season is here, and I'm sure you're thinking about, well, who's going to be doing my taxes? Try my friend, I should say, Michael Maxwell over at Arrowhead Tax Service in New Carlisle. Give my friend Michael Maxwell a call today, 937-543-5770. They're ready to serve you at 100 South Church Street in New Carlisle. They got a new location over there. Arrowhead Tax Service gives back to the community through athletics and nonprofits. Keep that in mind, and all new clients save 10% off. So keep that in mind. Again, it's early. You're going to be getting those W-2s here as the month goes on. This might be the year, folks. This might be the year. Kenner might actually get his taxes done before tax day. Michael's done a pretty good job of, I think he blocks off a time for me every year, knowing that I'm going to be coming in last second like I do on everything. I'm the biggest procrastinator in the world. It's one of my many flaws, but this might be the year when I get all my W-2s in. I might be getting this done in February. I don't like to brag, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, give them a call today, 937-543-5770. Let them know that you heard about it on the Justin Kinder Show. And again, if you haven't used Michael Maxwell before, you're going to get a 10% off on your filing. So make sure you take advantage of that. You can schedule it online at arrowheadtaxservice.com, where their target is your satisfaction. So there you go. All right, so I just got into a debate with Shaw. Shocker. But it's one of those things where technically both of us are right and both of us are wrong. I'm not saying college football is fine. It's not fine. There's things that need to be regulated and fixed. But at the same time, it's always the doomsday. This sport is not going. It's not going to be sustainable. This, that, and the other. It's not like. Let me put it this way: is this sustainable for Indiana? No. But also, as we're learning, it's not sustainable for Ohio State either. But schools have revenue coming in every single year. Schools will continue, even if things don't get fixed, and I hope that's not the case. Schools will constantly have revenue coming in. And just because Indiana loses like let's just say Mark Cuban gets bored with donating $8 million a year, because that's where I understand where people are coming from is, and like when I've talked to a lot of athletic directors locally and afar, the big concern is, okay, that's great. You get a big donation for this year, or you take that donation or and you try to stretch it out over 2 years. What happens if that big donor, because keep in mind too, these aren't like this isn't your movie theater donating a couple $1,000. This isn't the Mike's Car Wash saying, hey, here's a couple $100 for your NIL fund. And tell you what, tell Jeremiah Smith to bring the old Cadillac over. We'll get that baby clean for free. Like it ain't one of those things. These are billionaires donating millions and millions of dollars. Okay. So eventually, like when it's not coming, when it's not regulated money coming in, it's not a regular flow of cash coming in, that money's going to dry up. And that's the pressure that these teams are feeling because, okay, Mark Cuban, let's be clear. Indiana last year, Mark Cuban gave them a lot of money. If Indiana doesn't go on that run that they did where they only lost 2 games and the only 2 losses were the 2 teams that met in the national championship game last year, that's a pretty good season. Then Mark Cuban saw what they did this season and it's like, well, damn, they're number 1 team in the country. They got to the Big Ten championship game. They did that with my money. Mark Cuban's like, this is like Shark Tank, baby. Like, okay, that's a good use of my money. I'm going to invest again. And if you keep taking my money and you keep Indiana, you keep turning it into number 1 team in the country-esque, Big Ten champion-esque, college football semifinal, maybe national championship, maybe national champions-esque, you're going to keep getting my money. But just like anybody donating money, you're a little fickle sometimes. And it's like, well, I can't believe that Indiana got upset. Let's see this week schedule that Indiana has, for next season. Okay. So Indiana plays North Texas, Howard, Western Kentucky. Okay. Let's say Indiana gets upset against Purdue next year. And let's say that they lose at Rutgers and they miss the playoffs because they lost to 2 bad teams. Now Mark Cuban's like, I love that national championship you got me, but you know what? I at least got a national championship out of all this millions that I donated. But man, you lost to Minnesota. That's not a good ROI. Yeah, I'm going to hold off on donating this portal cycle. Now Indiana starts to regress. Right now, you're not getting as big of the players in the portal as what you were. So now Indiana's out of the mix there. But guess what? There's another school over here who has a lot of money, and now they're going to take it. There's always going to be schools that are moving up. All right. The level, this team moves up, this team moves back. It's just different behind the scenes. If you want to see how the hamburger's made, then fine. If you want to see how the sausage is made, fine. If you're so obsessed with how the sausage is made, if you're so obsessed with how Indiana is made, that's why I feel like we're not enjoying this, because I've heard Shaw and others say, well, Indiana, this isn't that great of a turnaround. I mean, it's not as if they just magically got good players. I mean, they magically got good players because the money that was being spent. So now we don't give them credit because they bought their roster, even though that's stupid to get mad at that because it's the only way you could win in college athletics today. People get so obsessed with how the sausage is made behind the scenes that they don't just sit back and enjoy. The reason that the playoffs and the reason that the Pop-Tart Bowl and the reason that all this stuff, the reason that the ratings are through the roof across the board is because there's way more people that don't care about how the sausage is made than about the people that do. And the people that do care about how it's made, it's the me and the Shaws and the yous, some of yous out there. And we let it blind how all this stuff is constructed. And I think that's what it is. College football is just fine. The ratings are through the roof. The freaking Pop-Tart Bowl. You remember the egomaniacs, all the D-bags over at Notre Dame that said, oh, there would be no one's going to care about the Pop-Tart Bowl without us. Yeah, well, it was the highest rated non-playoff game in the last, how many years? So people care. They're obsessed with college football right now. I was wrong about the expanded playoff ruining the regular season. Way more teams are invested. Your team loses, you're not checking out on the season. You want to talk about what wasn't sustainable. The 14 playoff era wasn't sustainable. The 14 playoff era forced you to have to be perfect from week 1 on. The 14 playoff era said you had to be perfect in week 1 because if you lose to Texas in week 1 or Texas, who lost to Ohio State, in the 14 playoff era, Texas, they were out of the playoff week 1 last year. They were out of the playoff week 1 last year. Look at that schedule of theirs. There was no way in hell, and that, knowing what we know now is one thing, but they were playing Georgia. They played Oklahoma. They weren't going to win out. Now, what I love about the playoff, like Miami is in the national championship. Ohio State was in last year's national championship. Now you're saying, well, yeah, it's Ohio State. Of course they were in that national. That's Ohio State's a good program. No, 2 lost Ohio State. Ohio State, who lost to Oregon, who got bullied and beat up by Michigan. That was a bad loss. The rivalry, the only reason we didn't punish Ohio State for losing to Michigan is because it's a rivalry game, but that was a bad Michigan team that they lost to. They probably shouldn't have you shouldn't make the playoff when you're almost a 3-touchdown favorite and lose at home. But because it was the rivalry game, they got the benefit of the doubt. Ohio State shouldn't have been in the playoff. Ohio State, there were Buckeye fans that were literally saying, I don't even want them to go out on the field against Tennessee because I don't want to risk having to see what we saw against Michigan. That's how shattered Buckeye fans were. So the morale of the fan base, if you rewind to a year ago around this, at that time, that's how shattered we were. And then the team got a window to get better and move forward. It's allowing teams to not have to be perfect. And that's what I love. I don't want teams to lose and their season just be done instantly. I like that we're giving teams a time to breathe and develop and get better. And we saw it with Ohio State last year. We're seeing it with Miami this year. And we're seeing it with Oregon, who already lost to this Indiana team. They're going to have a chance to redeem themselves and have a chance to get a big win coming up here later on tonight. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. College football, there's a lot of stuff about it that's broken. But it's not broken. It's the most interesting the sport's been in a long, long time. It's the most interesting the sport has been in a long, long time. All those years that we were so excited about the college football playoff, did you guys realize that the ratings for the 14 playoffs were not very good? That people were not heavily tuning into national championship games? People just didn't care? People are swarming. They are swarming to Indiana football right now because they're that feel-good story. There was never a feel-good story in the playoff when you had Georgia, who's there every year, Alabama, who's there every year, Ohio State, who's there every other year, Clemson. Everyone hates Dabo Swinney. Ohio State's there. Oh, shocker. They're always there. So the football diehards are going to tune in. What this expanded playoff has done is it has opened the door for more casual fans to tune in. You're not going to convince me the sport is broken from that perspective. It's not. Just like the Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati Reds, they're definitely broken. But no, like Major League Baseball. I compared college football to Major League Baseball earlier because all we hear about is how broken Major League Baseball is, but yet last year, attendance through the roof, playoff ratings were higher than they've ever been, right? Regular season ratings through the roof. Revenue across the board. Like, how can you say baseball is broken when more people are tuning in than in decades past? Everyone's tuning in. Everyone's going to the games. Interest is, baseball is right at the top of the popularity list more than it's ever been. How is baseball broken? Don't tell me it's broken. It ain't broken. It ain't broken. It needs some repairs. But we talk about baseball like it's that car broken down on the side of the highway that you can't get started. We talk about college football like it's a car that won't start, that's just stuck in the driveway that your Karen neighbor is calling on because there's a broken down car sitting in your lot. No, these cars are moving. I need a little paint job here and there. I need a new alternator, whatever. They ain't broke. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Speaking of the Reds, coming up a week from tomorrow, actually technically a week from today, I have 2-day Reds Fest passes right here, okay? 2-day Reds Fest passes. And if you want a chance to win a couple pairs of these 2-day Reds Fest passes at the Cincinnati Convention Center next weekend, 937-518-1410, text Reds Fest, all one word, text Reds Fest. Even if you listen to the show the last couple of days and you've been texting every day, that's fine. We're going to be picking the winners. I think next Wednesday is what they said. So next Wednesday, we'll start contacting winners to come to the station to pick these up. But even if you've registered before, keep registering. It's fine. You're allowed to more than once. The more you register, the more you text, the more it increases your chances of potentially winning these. So text Reds Fest, one word, 937-518-1410 for your chance to potentially win some 2-day passes to Reds Fest coming up. 937-518-1410. I think James is calling. James, I'll get to your call when we return. I want to dive back into the Duke Tobin stuff. That's been a big talking point for a lot of people, including how we started the show today. So we'll do that when we come back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Save big on everything for your New Year's project with Menards. Mastercraft has been making high-quality doors for more than 50 years. Choose from our huge in-stock selection, or you can design your door your way, in-store and on Menards.com. From classic to modern designs, you'll find the perfect door for your home. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame superstar and the voice of Van Halen, David Lee Roth. Live in concert, performing songs from his entire career. David Lee Roth, live at Rose Music Center at the Heights, June 9th. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com and at the Rose Music Center box office. David Lee Roth, the best there ever was.
Have you heard? Bath Creations has moved to their new location and showroom at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton. This gives you even more opportunity to see the incredible amenities and craftsmanship Bath Creation offers. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful, modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save an additional $500 off your purchase. Visit at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton or online at mybathcreations.com and get a new bath today.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Snapshot from Progressive wasn't created for just anybody. Oh no, we made it for you. Smooth accelerators. When that light turns green, you're off. Like a warm knife through firm butter. Going from 0 to the speed limit in an appropriate amount of time. Sure, your car has horsepower, but your horses prance around as silky smooth as your right foot. Fancy Prancerton. With Snapshot, safe drivers like you get personalized rates based on your driving habits. Sign up today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
The Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Now, back to the Justin Kinner Show. Right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
All right, and we are back. I'm Justin Kinner, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Shaw just messaged back into the show saying that Bo Jackson is returning to Ohio State. So see, it proves if you throw a temper tantrum, you get your way. I hope Ohio State didn't give him the money that he should not be getting more money combined. He should not be like the amount of money, according to reports that he was asking for, was more money than what Quinshon Judkins and Trevion Henderson were getting combined last year. Bo Jackson was good, but let's be clear. Ohio State, even though they were undefeated throughout the regular season, even though they were national championship contenders, the bottom line is what was one of the weaknesses we talked about with this team? Obviously, offensive line wasn't elite, but they struggled to run the football effectively. So I think that matters. But I think the kid's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad they kept him. But nonetheless, so if that's the case, and Shaw, I believe you. I got to make sure I confirm that. But again, there are messages coming in that Bo Jackson returning to Ohio State after rumors started swirling and reports started going out, speculating that, of course, he was not going to return to Ohio State, that he was going to enter the transfer portal. Now, another top running back out of the Big Ten, in Justice Haynes for Michigan, it came out from On3 Sports earlier that he entered the transfer portal, which isn't, look, I'm not pro Michigan here, but man, you go out, I think it's gross what happened with Sharon Moore, but and I don't want this to sound insensitive, because I'm definitely not being like it. It might be a blessing in disguise what happened, and no, that's still a bad way to put it. It's horrific what happened. Somehow Michigan came out better for it, if that makes sense. And maybe there's a better way to word that, because I'm not acting like, oh man, Michigan really benefited from Sharon Moore acting like a complete moron. No, let's just put it this way. Michigan, they're not going to be feeling it or reeling from this. Let's just put it that way. And if they are, it's just going to be a late start of trying to keep, adding to this roster. But I think this team feels healthier than they have in a long time. Getting the coach that they did from Utah, this is the healthiest that the Michigan program has felt in a long time. So the fact that they're getting Bryce Underwood back, you got a coach that everyone actually likes and respects. I hate that you're losing Justice Haynes or whatever. And maybe they get him to come back the way Bo went back. Who knows? But nonetheless, Justice Haynes, again, remember, transferred from Alabama, played only 7 games at Michigan, and now he's transferring again. I guess, according to this, Georgia Tech is reportedly offering him about $2 million. So there's that. It's like I tried telling Shaw, the sport's broken, man. He just wouldn't listen. Now, 937-518-1410. Before I jump back into this, before I jump back into the Duke Tobin stuff, I want to go back to the phones, because James in Kettering called. He wanted to get back into college football with us. James, I appreciate you calling. How are you?
Oh, great, Justin. Hey, thanks for taking my call. And I appreciate the show and your personality and everything. What I need is I need assistance from you. I need your platform here,
okay,
to advance an idea that's gonna make the college football playoffs better. It's not gonna make it perfect, because it's always gonna be subjective. Someone's always gonna be left out, etc.
Who's your team, James? Who's your team?
I'm a Notre Dame guy.
Oh, see, I don't know why I had a weird vibe. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make fun of you earlier. Nope. I am sorry. My bad on that. I had a feeling, because you weren't coming in telling me who your team was. I had a feeling you were a Notre Dame guy.
No, I'm a Notre Dame guy, but I agree with you. The college football playoff, it's not broken. It's making plenty of money. The games are good for the most part, except for the Alabama, no show. However, I think we can make it better. And again, it's still going to be flawed, because you're still going to select your teams, whatever they are, 12, 14, 16. But what I want them to do is take those teams, put the selection show on, have the coaches dialed in via VTC, and you start with team number 1, Indiana this year, called Kurt Signetti. You're on the clock. You decide, do you want to bye, or do you want to play a home game? And if you want a home game, you call out your opponent of these other teams that made it. It would be must-see TV. You would get great matchups. You would get great press the week leading up, great bulletin board material, and you have a great first week of the playoff, and then you wash, rinse, repeat again that second week. Have the coaches get up there, call out the next team, and some of them are going to do a great job and be very eloquent and call out the team for the right reasons because of the challenge, and then you'll get your Lane Kiffins that'll step up there and just completely step on their cranks and make it must-see TV again. But it's definitely a benefit. It'll add more revenue because more people will, even more so, will watch the games and definitely watch the show. And I need you to help me advance this because we got to make it happen. This is the USA is the Coliseum. We need entertainment. We need reality TV. This is how we get there.
And especially with the personalities in college football right now. I mean, you look at Lanning at Oregon. That guy's a loose cannon. He's an odd duck as far as his personality goes. Obviously Kurt Signetti, I mean, what a character he is. Lane Kiffin, if this was WWE, he's going to be booed louder than any WWE heel out there. There's so many personalities in college football right now. You're right. People would tune into that. I do think there needs to be way more transparency with the selection shows. I don't care about these selection shows anymore. I think they're doing more damage than good. One thing I will give your fan base that I'll meet you, not even halfway, I'll meet you on your side on, is I think there would be less drama from the Notre Dame side if they didn't have Notre Dame where they were as long as they did and then just magically just took them out of that spot. That argument I understood as far as that goes, but the selection shows are pointless. I think there'd be less drama if there wasn't the selection shows, but they need drama. Drama sales. That's for sure. So I'm with you on that. I like that idea. The other idea I like too is the fact that I think that the committee should be not live, but they should do a show out of how the committee justified putting their board together. And just like, I think that would be good. I think that would be healthier for the sport. I think there would be a little bit of transparency and accountability for how they come about doing their decisions. But yes, I think some kind of show that involves the coaches on that final selection Sunday show, all while you have those selection shows throughout the season and the build up to it. The sport would need that, definitely. Take advantage of the personalities that the sport has right now.
All right. Well, thank you, Justin. I trust you'll advance this for me, and it's in your hands.
Oh, yeah. You know me. I have so many people in my back pocket, man. Yeah, I'll pass it up to James. Appreciate you.
Hey, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right, 937-518-1410. The Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Okay, so I want to get back into this as we it's already 4:48. Only have a few minutes remaining of the show. Look, I get it. I'm a Bengals troll. I tweeted this out earlier today. If you are not a Bengals fan, that Duke Tobin presser was very entertaining. If you are a Bengals fan, I feel bad for you. If you're just tuning in or you missed this earlier, to summarize how poorly this went, a reporter asked Duke Tobin straight up, hey, Joe Burrow said that there needs to be a lot of changes from this season to next season. What changes do you want to see? Listen, here's the question, and here's the ridiculous answer that this reporter got from what was Duke Tobin being serious. Take a listen.
Joe Burrow was pretty adamant about, he praised the personnel and the football staff and things of that nature, but he said something's got to change for us to get back to the playoff team. In your mind, what needs to change?
Our record, and not to be, our record.
Our record. Oh, good stuff. I mean, you heard it here first, folks. This is what we were hoping for, to get that sit down with Duke Tobin, because, we were really curious about, what changes this team, needed to implement to improve heading into next year. So Duke Tobin, you're the brains of this operation. You're the one that makes the decisions on behalf of this team. What changes need to be made for this team to improve? Well, the record. All right, well, how are you going to go about improving that record? What's the process like? Well, it seems like it's out of a sitcom, but, there's a couple, there's three pillars that this team operates by, and it's fascinating stuff. It's the who, it's the what, it's the when, the where, the why. It's three of those 5 words I can't remember. Take a listen to this buffoonery.
Our personnel staff will spend the entire offseason on what went right, what went wrong, what can we change, in who we have. So we're working on the who, they'll work on the what, the players need to work on the how. That's the technique in the assignments. And that's why it's the who, the what, and the how. All of that needs to improve.
Oh, man, this is just like business 101. This is NFL GM class 101 stuff. I mean, this is good stuff. One more time, if you're ever thinking about running an NFL team, all right, I mean, it's 2 seconds, but it's the most valuable 2 seconds, of your training to be an NFL GM.
That's why it's the who, the what, and the how. Who,
what, and how, folks. The Duke Tobin way. The who, the what, and the how. Unbelievable. It just, and that's honestly what kind of transpired earlier today. To his credit, as I said earlier, he faced the fire. For an hour, he answered questions, okay? For an hour, he answered questions. And I guess, here's why it's concerning if you're a Bengals fan. There is nothing that came out of today that made anyone feel like this team was taking accountability for the issues over the last couple of years. For instance, This team does not have really good players right now. This team doesn't have really good players right now because they don't spend in free agency and they don't draft and develop well. So if you know that your team has bad players because you've had horrific drafts over the last 3 years, if you know that your team is bad because you have no good players on the defensive side of the ball, and really if you're bad because you only drafted 3 really good players over the last 6 years, and that's Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. So if you know that, why would you confidently defend yourself up on the podium and come at people like this?
And we've made a lot of good picks. I get that people don't believe we've made any good picks. We've made a lot of good picks.
A lot of good picks. What picks? What are these good picks that you speak of? Like I said, Joe Burrow was a result of the bad decisions you made in seasons past that resulted in you winning 2 games. T. Higgins was also a result of the bad decisions that Duke Tobin had made in previous seasons, which resulted them in winning 2 games. And then, you got Jamar Chase because of, what the results of what you did with Joe Burrow in the rookie season, which you got him hurt because you went and you drafted your franchise quarterback and you decided that we're not going to invest in the offensive line because that's just the Cincinnati Bengals way. And sure enough, Joe Burrow gets hurt right off the bat, week 11, Washington football team at the time. So you only go on to win 4 games, which puts you in position to get Jamar Chase. It's not as if you found diamonds in the rough here. I mean, there was you had the number 1 overall pick. Anyone with the brain, and maybe I'm giving him too much credit here, anyone with the brain was going to take Joe Burrow with the number 1 overall pick that needed a quarterback. The Bengals needed a quarterback. Tua was not as good that last year. So Joe Burrow had that. I mean, he was the Heisman winner. He helped lead what was the most explosive offensive season in the history of college football. He put up the best QB numbers in the history of college football. He was an undefeated Heisman winning national champion. Of course he was going to go number 1 overall. You had no one else to pick. T. Higgins was a wide receiver that had a first-round grade, and everyone was confused as to how T. Higgins fell out of the first round. So when you had the very first pick in the second round, your 2 needs that draft, quarterback and wide receiver, because you knew that obviously A.J. Green was on the way out. You had just given a contract to Tyler Boyd, and I think it was in the season before that. You knew that he wasn't a long-term solution at wide receiver, so you needed a young, up-and-coming wide receiver to pair with Joe Burrow. So I'm not giving Duke Tobin credit for that. On a scale of 0 to 10, how much, where would you rank the credit that he deserves for any of those 3 players? I'm going to say maybe I'll go 2.5 because he had a decision to make between Penei Sewell and Jamar Chase, and I'll give them credit. I was on the Penei Sewell route, which Penei Sewell's been an all-pro player for Detroit, so let's not sit here and act like, they can't get the offensive line right. If Joe Burrow's as good as everybody says, they probably should have gone the Penei Sewell route because Penei Sewell would have provided that stability on the offensive line that they just can't find. You already have T. Higgins, who's the number 1 wide receiver to begin with. So you would have had a number 1 wide receiver in T. Higgins. You have the most talented quarterback in the NFL, which is just, I don't know, it's not that crazy to expect that the number 1 quarterback in the NFL should be able to get the most out of any wide receiver that you throw out there. It doesn't need 2 number 1 wide receivers. So the bottom line is, never mind. I'm going backwards. I think it's hot. I'm sweating in this room. I'm not sure if my blood pressure is going up. I don't know if they have the heat on in this damn place, but I'm losing my mind here as we're wrapping up the week. But I give him out of 2.5. But outside of that, for Duke Tobin to sit there and look at the media, very pompous like, and say, we drafted a ton of really good players. Who are those players that you speak of? Every player. I mean, we've talked about the red flags that this team has just consistently ignored en route to drafting these bust of players. It's been an absolute nightmare. It's been an absolute nightmare from beginning to end. You think of the receiver that they took that played for Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, and he couldn't figure it out for either. He had attitude problems for those 2 coaches, but Duke Tobin thought, well, I know. Nick Saban couldn't get him to fix his ways. Kirby Smart couldn't get him to fix his ways, who were the 2 best coaches in college football at the time. But I know Zach Taylor, Mr. Authority, he'll get him to turn it around. Yeah, he's not on the team anymore. Let's draft Eric All. Eric All's a really good tight end out of Iowa. And I agree. I mean, that's a good place to get tight ends from. But let's just ignore the fact that the guy has had injury concerns. He's injury prone. He's hurt every year. Let's ignore those red flags, though. because he's a really good tight end. And sure enough, he gets to Cincinnati and he blossomed into a very good tight end in the limited amount of time that he was there. And why was that? Oh, yeah, because who got hurt? Who would have saw that coming? If only there was, if only he had this scouting department, if only he had this large scouting department that could have done extra homework. But he said, hey, we have a small scouting department, but just because we have a small scouting department, it doesn't mean that we are limited on the information we get. Oh, we know. We know that you saw the red flags about your wide receiver and your tight end. We know that there were a lot of red flags about Shamar Stewart. We know that there was a lot of red flags about Mims. And by the way, Mims is okay, but let's not sit there and give him credit for Mims, because Mims, for a first-round pick, not very good. For a first-round pick, they're probably going to extend him. He might be the first offensive line that they've extended in over a decade, but it's not as if it's an all-pro offensive lineman. Let's not pretend that Shamar Stewart, all the red flags about him were, yes, he looks like Tarzan, but he plays like Jane. He has all the measurables of a Myles Garrett, but he literally has all the production of a Justin Kinner. And guess what? You want to talk about Shamar Stewart's production this year? You know how many tackles he had? 5. You know how many tackles Jamar Chase had this year? 5. Jamar Chase had as many tackles as your number one pass rusher, who had all the measurables of a Myles Garrett, who set the sack record this year, by the way. So I don't want to hear from dopey Duke Tobin that, oh, yeah, we've drafted a ton of good players. You've drafted 3 fantastic, unbelievable, phenomenal players that anybody in your draft spot would have taken. You didn't find Joe Burrow. You didn't discover Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is not your Brock Purdy. All right? No, we're not doing that. So, Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell, everyone out there that was doing their mock drafts, because anyone with access to the internet can have a blog at this point. Everyone was doing their mock drafts. Me knew that they needed Penei Sewell or Jamar Chase. It was up to them of who they got to pick, but it's not as if we're not going to pick Jamar Chase or Penei Sewell. We're going to go in a different direction because we're really impressed by this talent that we discovered over here that nobody else saw. But thanks to our small and mighty, scouting department, now you were picking between 2 players that anybody that knew that your team needed. This team does not do anything that is just above and beyond what any other team out there does. In fact, they're well below that. They're bottom of the league. They're embarrassing. Anyways, that's that. But that's about what I thought. I did not think that the Bengals were going to do, I didn't think that press conference was going to go well today. I just didn't. All right, 1410 ESPN Radio. We are Dayton's radio home for Wright State basketball. And the Wright State Raiders, who are 4-1 in conference play right now. ESPN's Joe Lenardi has the Wright State Raiders as a 14 seed in his latest bracketology, by the way. Wright State's going to be in action tonight against Detroit. They're at Detroit. That's going to be a 7 o'clock tip-off, and we'll have it for you right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. 6:45, the coverage, pregame coverage will begin. So Wright State's going to be at Detroit tonight, and then they are going to be at Oakland on Sunday. And then Wright State will return home against Youngstown State on the 15th next week. So that's coming up next Thursday. And if you want a chance to win tickets to go support the Raiders, who are first place right now, ESPN Joe Lenardi has them as a 14 seed. They're rolling. All right. If you want a chance to go see Wright State at the Nutter Center next Thursday, text Raiders to 937-518-1410, and we'll send you the details of how we'll forward you those tickets so you can go watch the Raiders at the Nutter Center next Thursday. So keep that in mind. But we do got Wright State basketball coming up later on tonight, nonetheless. All right, that does wrap it up for us here this week. Thank you, everybody. I've been looking forward to this week. Once you get through the holidays, you have the long break leading into Christmas. Then you come back after Christmas for a few days, and you take another break leading into the new year. And I'm like, I just need a routine. We got the routine back off and rolling. This has been a fun week, and there's still plenty more going on. Big off season ahead for the Bengals. A lot of big playoff games this weekend for both college football and NFL. The Browns still looking for a head coach. I saw that Kevin Stefanski today interviewed for the Baltimore Ravens job, and Mary Kay Cabot came out of Cleveland and said that there definitely is interest between John Harbaugh and the Cleveland Browns. How wild would that be? Can you imagine if John Harbaugh takes the head coaching job in Cleveland and you get Mike McDaniel to be your offensive coordinator and you keep Jim Schwartz as your defensive coordinator? Cleveland would not be the best team in the AFC North, but that coaching staff, that might be the best coaching staff in football. Now, what that means for Cleveland, who knows? It's still a long shot, but we'll see what happens. I know that's what I'm going to be looking forward to next week, to see if Cleveland can name their coach nonetheless. But that wraps it up for us. Have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend, everybody. And until Monday, this has been the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
The Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.